Inside my heart, got this everlasting light shining like the sun. It radiates on everyone, and the more that I give, the more I got to give. It's the way that I live, it's what I'm living for. From God,
So here we are, and we're going to turn to some wonderful words by Ernest Holmes, the community reading, and we're going to read it together. Let's take another breath. It's in the program. The substance of the Spirit is my daily supply. I cannot be without my good. I can see that the constant stream of life flowing to me brings into my experience all that makes life happy and worthwhile. Infinite good is within and expressing through me. So let's just take a few moments to let that settle in and just join me in consciousness in this place, this present moment, where I know that infinite good is in and expressing through me and through each and every person in this room, through each and every part of creation. There is not, as Reverend Patrick said before, a place where this source, this power, this light, this love is not. It is everywhere. And right now I celebrate it right here within me and within each of us in this room, knowing that we are blessed at all times, that we are powerful because of who we are, and that this energy, this love, this light, this divine that we are flows into every part of our lives, whether it be our livelihood, our finances, our creativity, our health, our relationships. It's all filled with this amazing God, light, power, energy. That's what we bring into experience and create from. So I know that good for each and every one of us, and I celebrate that good here today. And I simply am grateful to know it and to know that it is demonstrated in our lives perfectly, uniquely for each of us, just as we require it, and more and more and more. So knowing this to be the truth and being grateful, I just simply release my word. I release my word to the universal law, knowing that it is done. It is done. And I just step out of the way of the house and I just let it be so, as we say together. And so it is. Thank you.
we have a theme about paradise. And I have had many ideas of where I wanted to go with this, and they just kept starting up anew. Have you ever had that? You have an idea, and then you go, that is such a, no, that's a better idea. Oh, that's a, I just love that creative flow. But paradise, I was thinking about what paradise means to me, and that's what Kaua'i and I are going to kind of discuss today, just that whole idea of what does that bring up for you when you think of paradise? Now, the good news is, if you look outside, they on the mainland say that we live in paradise. And they remind us of that all the time, at least me. So I was thinking, what does paradise bring up for me? And I remember as a kid, probably 6 or 7, I asked this woman, and her name was Betty. Now, how do I remember these things? And why am I putting in my computer all of this stuff that really isn't necessary? Names at 6 years old. But Betty, I said to her, what is paradise? What is heaven? And she said, it's a place where after we've done all of the stuff here and got through that, it's a place that you just sit in a boat and you just relax. And you just go around, and it's tropical, and it's surrounded by water. And I went, at 6 years old, I thought, I can think of nothing more boring than sitting in a boat, going around in circles. And I'm like, for eternity? Forever? And I'm thinking, oh, I have so many other things to do, you know. So once again, I was always a handful in the Catholic schools when I was young, and that was only at 6. But I started to think, what does paradise mean? And I know for me here, and us starting this center here, paradise takes on a whole new meaning. And I remember when we were going to start it, they said, well, I doubt if a center would be very popular on paradise, you know, paradise. I mean, so I expected to get off the plane, right? And everybody was going to go, welcome. Welcome to the island. And so I go, well, I have a workshop for you. Would you like it? You know, I'm thinking, what? They're going, everybody's also spiritual. What would you have to offer? Just for your information, if you ever get people to talk to you that way, go the other way. It's called not as supportive as you would like. So I realize, though, that we are right where we are, and wherever we are is paradise or not paradise. And I realized that that whole concept, that whole idea of working and toiling and deserving, as I have here in this is what they say about working. It just kind of blew me away. I just went, wow. Blew me away so much that it blew right off my head. But they have this idea of working. I'll tell you, I always paraphrase everything anyway. What they were basically saying is, in order to be successful, in order to live in paradise, you must work 6 days a week, maybe sometimes 7, never get off at 5, and you work around the clock. Does that sound good to you? No. There was this idea that I was hearing that it says heaven as the ultimate abode of the just. Once again, one of my non-favorite words called separation. I do not believe that. And yet, I have experienced here on the island people that work very, very hard. They work very, very hard. Sometimes 2 and 3 jobs. I've spoken with them. And you know me, I have no problem with saying, I go, I don't understand why would you, because we live in Kaua'i, we live in Hawaii. We have to work a little extra. It has to be a little earn. And I went, oh my God, there's a part of ourselves that think we have to earn heaven. That we have to earn paradise. And it makes me cry. It really does. And I'm not afraid at this moment to say that makes me sad. Because who we are you do not need to sweat and prove yourself to say that I live in paradise. And I'm going to tell you, when I came here, I believed that there was a part of me that believed that. Because when I fell and fractured my shoulder, I could remember what was going on in my head. And I know it's a big, witch hunt, like, you created your reality. Well, I did. I hate to break it to you, but I did. Break it to you? Nice. And that just came out naturally. So I broke it, and I'm thinking, what was I thinking? And I remember, I fell in Princeville, and I remember, and I always call it now the fall and rise of Princeville, because I fell when I was running, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm not sure I deserve this. And I thought, you better get into gratitude, man, really quick. And I thought, maybe I don't deserve this. And I was telling myself a lie. You deserve to have everything that you want, everything that you desire, and because of who you are, period. Period. If we choose to work a little harder, we choose to, and I'm not talking about passionately working. Rita and I put a lot of time, a lot of energy into this center because we are in love with this center in our community. And we are in love with what we are doing. That is not work. The moment I call it work is the moment I need to step away, as dangerous as that can be. Because I was raised with, if you're not sweating at the end of the day, you don't deserve it. I was raised not from a whipping family, but a family that says, this is a message. As long as you're sweeping floors and it's honest, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Now, I agree with that, but I needed a little more motivation. Just an FYI on that. I mean, I got what she was saying, but really what I'm saying is that I don't have to prove myself, and I don't have to work 50 hours. And here's the other aha I got with this. We get a lot of people from the mainland that visit here, right? And I remember, I think I shared this with you, how bad I felt when people were responding to me on Facebook. Wow, you and Rita living in paradise over there, always smiling, always having a good time. Well, what do you want me to do on my Facebook pictures? I always say, what do you want me to do on it? Do you want us to sit down when we're figuring out the finances? And her and I are sitting next to each other going, honey, how do you think we're going to do it this month? Do you want to know? And I catch myself doing it. It's a manipulative thing. I don't think we're doing too well here. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You better shout to the top of the roof that we're doing great here. We have a lot to do, but I just thought to myself, that is one of the biggest, funniest pictures that I ever thought to myself. So now I've decided that I am going to take all my Facebook pictures to press. Because it would be like, they'll say, oh my God, things mustn't be going very well for him. Maybe we should help him out. Let's tithe to that community. But, boy, Rita and Patrick look like hell, don't they? So no, and I caught myself journaling this the other day. Absurd, is it not? And I caught myself saying, oh my God, even to my mom, hey Mom, how's it going? Oh, pretty good. I wouldn't want her to think, since she's there, and I'm sitting there going, well, things are all right, it's a little tropical, but how's the weather? Sometimes it's pretty cold, it's not as, and I'm thinking, stop. And I really had to stop. And that's just an old form of manipulation and bargaining and negotiating that I was raised with. That if I don't tell you that I'm incredibly happy and beaming over, then especially in a center where we receive tithes and we receive assistance and we look for grants and we look for that, I said, I refuse. I refuse to cry, I'm so poor, because I am never poor in spirit, ever. I don't care what the checkbook says. I don't care what my medical records say. I am never poor, ever. I am rich. And I will stay by that. And it takes courage. Yes, it does. It really does take courage. But now I'm realizing that I am so backed by a power that runs through me that says, yes, you can dare to say that, Patrick. You can dare to say, I'm happy. You can dare to say that I am that I am. And no matter what, I will be taken care of. And you will be taken care of. Wow. You know? This is what I do all week, man. These things just, come in. I'm just like, wow, you gotta be kidding. But you guys know me long enough to know the truth about me. And that is, this is my mission. This is my mission, to wake up and know that I deserve everything because of who I am. And all these years I've been trying to prove something. This is the only moment I have anyway. This is the moment that I stand in, and I invite you to remember who you are, and that you are the rich, rich essence and being of life itself. And you can be and do and have anything that you want. And you don't have to prove anything. You don't have to do anything on paper just because of who you are. I feel very complete. And thank you. Thank you for letting me, thank you for letting Rita, for us to be authentic with you. For me to be able to have emotions and say, oh my God, there's people staring at me. And so for me to feel safe, I was talking to a friend of mine about that, where I can feel safe to tell you who I am. It used to be they'd pull you out of a room for saying what we say. I love you. I love you.
Story of creation. But before I go there, I was remembering when he was talking about a time when I lived in New Mexico, and I lived in this beautiful house. It was paradise, but I was so miserable. And I remember sitting in this beautiful house, sitting on the stairs in this, little nice staircase, crying, because I wasn't fulfilling myself spiritually. I wasn't listening to that inner voice that was saying, you need to do this. But I didn't really know it at the time. But finally I did know it, and I had to break loose. And then I spent a long time after that thinking I didn't deserve that again. That because I had this, I didn't deserve that. And now I'm breaking through that again. So it's just a journey, and Patrick's right, it's a journey, and we deserve it because of who and what we are. But where did it all start? And I went back to the story of creation, which we, in the Science of Mind, it's a metaphorical story. I don't know if it could have happened like that, but I'm not saying it did or didn't, but to us it's a metaphorical story, and that these two people were in this place called Paradise, and they had this, beguiled by this serpent or their ego or whatever, to eat from this tree called the tree of good and evil, right? And up to that point, God was everything. God was all. They didn't know anything but God, good. The word we use for God in religious science is good. They didn't know anything but good. And they were told not to eat of this tree, right? But they did. One of them did anyway. And so as soon as she did, then she went and talked the other guy into doing it. And the interesting part of the story, because I was reading about Milton's Paradise Lost, was that she did it kind of unconsciously, but he did it consciously. He did it because she did it, and he knew it was wrong, but he did it anyway. And I think that's really interesting because they both suffered the consequences of the law of cause and effect, even though one of them did it consciously and one of them did it unconsciously, because the law is always working. So, okay, so all of a sudden, they're in the same place, like I was on the staircase, they're in paradise, and then all of a sudden now everything looks different. because now they see a division of good and evil. And so now all of a sudden they're naked and, oh my God, I'm naked. That's going to be really good. I'm going to cover myself up. Somebody might say me, the fruit probably didn't taste as good. I don't know. But the story is that was like in the evolution of our divine evolution, and the metaphorical story is that we separated ourselves from good and created duality. And that's all the story means to us in religious science, is that idea that we created this duality. Okay? Why do we create it? Because we have a freedom of choice. We have this volition, this choice to choose. So, but the whole goal is, in what we teach here, is to get back to non-duality. To get back and know who exactly we are, like what Patrick was talking, that we're only good. And no matter what is happening in our lives, it's good. We were talking about this the other night with some friends, and it was interesting how we were talking about it, because this person was saying, we got to say thank you for everything. Thank you for everything that comes into our life, even when it seems like it's something that maybe not too hot, Thank you for everything, because there's something there that's needing to be known. And as soon as we don't need to know that anymore, then we'll transform into the next incarnation of ourselves here. I'm not talking about passing on. So if we can welcome everything as good and look for the good. I just heard Reverend James speaking at his Easter Sunday's talk. Reverend James is our mentor, and some of you met him when he was here. And he had an experience with cancer, stage 4 cancer, and came out of it. But he said that he took that experience, and we lived through the whole thing with him. He never hid one thing from us. It was like the most amazing journey that we took with him for 2 years through his treatment and everything. But he said, I milked everything I could out of it. He said, I knew I was going to survive it. I just knew I wasn't going to leave the planet. He knew that he was going to be here. But he said, I milked everything out of it. He took the good, and he would come in every Sunday and tell us something, that he had gone through and what he got out of it. So that's what we're talking about here, is getting the good from everything. And what will happen eventually is, when we keep seeing the good, we won't be able to see anything else. So everything will transform. It's so great. I mean, it's just amazing. So how do we do this? We do it by just thinking differently, perceiving things differently. Does it make sense? And it's something that's like, you got to constantly do it. You got to constantly work it. You got to constantly say, no, that's not the way I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at it this way instead. And I'm going to take the good from it. And I'm going to make another choice next time. If it's something that was created through some conscious choice you made, you can always make another choice and make another decision. So, behind it all, the reason this works is because behind it all is the good. Behind everything is this eternal good that doesn't change. Ernest Holmes calls it the changeless. It's never changing. We're the ones that are changing it through our perception, but it's not changing. And we're just changing our relationship to it. So I want to just tell you this. We're taking this class with Marion Manning Morrissey. And we're going to probably teach her maybe next year. It's really powerful. We're actually taking it with Reverend James. But she tells this story. It's a prosperity actual class. But she tells this story. She goes, I've got this vase here with a long neck and a big bowl at the bottom. And in the bottom of this vase is this very large goose. It's like, how am I going to get this goose out of here? The poor thing. How am I going to get the goose? How are you going to get the goose out of that vase without breaking the vase or disrupting the vase in any way, or killing the goose? How are you going to get the goose out of there? Does anybody have an answer? If you've heard the story before, don't tell me. The same way you got it in there. See, you were all able to imagine it, right? In the That's what we're talking about. Because it's all in our minds. Our minds are what we're using for everything. Our perception of everything is in our mind. It's our mind. So Ernest Holmes says, I love this quote, because he says, if we look at love long enough, we shall become lovely. For this is the way of love. God is love, he says. If we gaze longingly at joy, it will make its home with us, and we shall enter the portals and be happy. If we seek the divine in men and find it, we shall be entertaining angels unawares. So that's it. Look for what you want to see. And he says, God knows only perfection. When we know, as God knows, our troubles will be rolled up like a scroll and numbered with past illusions. It's something to think about, and that's what we gotta do, because that's the only thing we got, is what we think, our consciousness. So I'm just gonna leave you with that today. And let's just take a deep breath and know that we're safe and it's all good and that we are supported by an infinite power and infinite universe that is only love and only says yes, yes to us, and that flowing through us, we are always successful, no matter what. We are successful, we are safe, we are loved. And I love you. Thank you for sharing today, and just very appreciative. So namaste.
Hey, so how do people feel when they come to your treehouse?
They feel great.
And Keely has a prayer for you that he would like to share, because we went to the prayer ground. Like it? Playground prayer? Okay. You're a hard group, Keely. There you go. Okay, hold on. Okay.
I know peace for you, I know prosperity for you, and I know happiness for you, I know fun for you, and so it is.
This beauty, this love, this light out into the world and using it and spreading it and sharing it. That's what I know, and I claim for all of us in each of our lives and for everyone that we know and beyond that even. So I know it's all good, and I'm grateful, and I just release my word. I release it as love, and as we say together, and so it is.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.